Welcome to another edition of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes at what's been happening through the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, that old history dude. You fly much? Well, if so, then listen up as we learn Airline Speak. Mentioning gremlins brings memories of the 1984 comedy horror film, William Shatner battling one in the Twilight Zone, and Bugs Bunny's 1943 cartoon. But some well-respected folks have taken gremlins quite seriously. Just listen to Charles Lindbergh's description of his uninvited passengers on his historic 3,600-mile New York to Paris flight in 1927. They appeared 9 hours after takeoff. These phantoms speak with human voices, he said, friendly, vapor-like shapes without substance, able to vanish and appear at will to pass in and out through the walls of the fuselage as though there were no walls there. These phantoms seemed quite friendly. Lindbergh remembered them as conversing and advising on my flight, discussing problems of my navigation, reassuring me, giving me messages of importance unobtainable in ordinary life. Lucky Lindy didn't reveal his strange experience until the publication of his book, The Spirit of St. Louis, in 1953. While some attribute what he saw to sleep deprivation or inhaling fumes from his fuel tank, experiencing them only 9 hours after takeoff and then successfully completing his 33.5-hour flight seems very unexpected. Reasonable or not, there were so many gremlin sightings during the 1940 Battle of Britain that the Air Ministry started an investigation and wrote a gremlin service manual. And mentioning William Shatner brings this to mind. Rod Serling's original TV program, The Twilight Zone, ran from 1959 to 1964. The 1963 Nightmare at 20,000 Feet is arguably one of the most memorable episodes. Robert Wilson, played by William Shatner in his pre-Star Trek days, is flying with his wife in a darkened airliner during a stormy night. He's returning home from time spent at a psychiatric facility after having a mental breakdown on an airplane. Glancing out his window, he spots a goblin of some sort trying to tear apart the engine. Problem is, no one else sees it. Wilson finally snatches a gun from an air marshal, opens the window, and shoots the creature. So, was he sane or not? As he's led away in a straitjacket, the camera pans up to show the obvious damage to the engine cowling. In the modern aircraft, you'll spot a mysterious red or black triangular sticker affixed to the inside of the fuselage midway in the cabin. So, what do these mysterious symbols mean? Actually, they indicate the best window for the crew to monitor the wings, especially to check on de-icing in the winter months. The seats below these stickers also offer the best photo ops while flying. In the business, they're called William Shatner seat. And it's no surprise that airline personnel have their own lingo. Every business has its own shorthand language, and airlines are no different. While some terms like red-eye, bulkhead, and jump seat are familiar, many are not. Here's a short primer to help you speak the language. Pink eye is a late flight that usually lands sometime around midnight. Spinners arrive late with no seat assignment, so are told to board and then find an empty place to sit, so they spin around looking for a seat. Runners are late arrivals. Miracle flight is someone needing wheelchair assistance while boarding who then needs no help getting off. These are folks scamming their way into boarding early. Crotch watch is the stroll up the aisle making sure that all seatbelts are fastened. Cross-check before departure and arrival cue attendants to ensure that all aircraft doors are armed and ready in case of an emergency evacuation. The blue rooms refer to the restrooms on board. The name comes from the blue liquid Skychem in the toilets. Lighter than water, it disinfects and deodorizes. Narrow body is a single-aisle local plane. Wide body is a two-aisle long-haul jet. A 2-for-1 special is when the pilot touches down, bounces, and then touches down again. And yes, they do it on purpose when the runway is slippery to gain traction. But then again, sometimes the worst does happen, even in the air. Flight attendants have secret codes that they use amongst themselves. Referring to someone as Bob, no matter his real name, means he's best on board. Another shorthand way of saying the same thing is that there's hot coffee in 2C. But one name that you don't want to hear mentioned is Jim Wilson. Even seasoned travelers are unaware that they often fly with the dead. People do pass away while on a town and then need to be returned home for interment. To do that, a secured casket is used which is encased in an air tray called a Jim Wilson tray. Or according to the Alcor 1997 Stabilization and Transport Manual, the Jim Wilson tray itself can be packed with ice and employed as a shipping container. American Airlines even has a dedicated air desk for dead travelers. Funeral directors can call there to check on arrival times, pick up details, and any other possible delays. The Jim Wilson service provides a discreet way of discussing the movement of deceased travelers without being overheard. Amsterdam's airport Schiphol even has its own mortuary, which handles some 2,000 bodies each year. Around 50,000 non-living passengers, also referred as HR, human remains, fly every single year. And that's about all the time we have for this episode of Weird News and Wacky History, a look behind the scenes at what's been happening throughout the years. I'm your host, Pastor Roland Moss, author, historian, and speaker, hoping that all of your history may be just a little bit weird.